So there is nothing better than when you get a massive box from AWE for the Audi RS3. If you're unfamiliar with Audi's RS3, that has a 2.5 liter inline 5-cylinder turbo engine, which is derived from the V10 in the Lamborghini. And this AWE SwitchPath exhaust, I'm assuming with valve open, is literally gonna make that 5-cylinder come alive and sound pretty close to the Lambo. So with that said, if you own an Audi RS3, whether it's the 8V or the 8Y, take a look at our website linked down below, because we carry AWE's lineup of products for the RS3. We had it on our old S3, and now the RS3 is about to get some awesome treatment. Not quite ready to cold start this just yet. With the RS3 up in the air and everything taken out of the box, here are all the components for the RS3. Keep in mind there are two ways to install your kit. You got the easy way, or of course the hard way. So scanning the QR code, we have the entire instructions. This is super easy to follow. So honestly, this should be a very straightforward kit. So those clamps loosed and this cross beam removed. Next up, there's gonna be a hanger right here. It goes all the way up there. That's gonna be a 13mm, super simple. However, this next hanger right there, we're not gonna be able to do the same method. So this one, we're actually going to have to remove the way it sits. All right, there we go. So with those hangers out, now you want to go to the muffler where it is connected. We're going to be taking this bolt off. But first, we have this cable up here, which is part of the active exhaust. But we can pinch this, and we'll go ahead and unplug both sides. And onto the other side, just go ahead, grab it, give it a pinch, and get that one off. So next up, I've gone ahead and loosened these clamps. You can kind of lift this up a little bit, and just by hand, pop out the rest of the bolts. There we go. All right, there she is. So with the stock exhaust out, we now take this Y pipe from AWE, and it's simply just gonna slide into this, and we can basically loosely attach it. The next step is to take the biggest pipe. I went ahead and transferred the hanger from the stock one, and this one also has a hanger in the back that you can't quite see on camera. There we go. And that's going to, of course, attach to the one that we left on the car. Just pick up the back, and we're going to get this hanger up on the spot. And then from here, we're gonna take one of the metal clamps the kit's gonna come with, go ahead and slide that on, and then connect these together as you bring them upwards. All right, so from here we have a pretty loose fit. This pipe will kind of wiggle it down a little bit out of these double ones, just to make sure we are sealing all the gaps here. Next up, we're just gonna take the driver's side motor off of the stock exhaust. And this is gonna then be attached to AWE's blank. From here, we're gonna take that, plug it back in, and then use the provided zip ties, and I'm just going to zip tie this right up here out of the way. And as we start putting together the rear section, we now take this Y pipe, and the upwards portion is gonna go like this, and that very easily will just get attached right like that. All right, so take this pipe, go ahead and put a clamp on it, and it's just gonna line up about here or so. We can work towards popping this hanger upwards, and we'll get the bolt nice and snug. And then onto the muffler now, same thing that we just saw. Just carefully slide that up and use your bolt and get the clamp where it belongs. So exhaust tip time, just slide that on, slide that, and you're gonna wanna do it this way, put it through the exhaust tip, and basically line that up. And the other side, as you expect, same thing, slide through your exhaust tip and line it up. Now the cool thing with this kit, given this car has exhaust tips built in, you don't actually have to worry about lining it up perfectly The goal now is to work underneath the car and just line things up to where nothing's gonna be rattling, hitting frame rails or things like that, and then make sure your hangers are nice and straight and not like in a bent way or anything like that. So I'm gonna kind of do this, we'll time lapse it real quick, just kind of work my way around, starting from the beginning, the front, and work my way to the back just to make sure things aren't touching anything. And then the exhaust tips are really easy to line up at the end, as you can see. I mean, you have a lot of freedom in here to really get it wherever you want it to go, and just make sure all of these clamps, you want the little gaps to where they tighten with this clamp. You want to make sure they are all covered so there's no exhaust leaks. All right, so not too much longer, that is all installed. I gotta say, I know some people kind of make fun of modern cars to where they have the exhaust tips built into the bumper, but that made the alignment incredibly easy. This kit goes together perfectly, and even if I did have tips that were part of the exhaust, this was so easy to line up. But as you can tell, we got the pipe nicely inside of that tip, and this one as well. And then everything lined up perfectly. It's nice to see, you can see the SwitchPath logo on there, everything's set up. Went ahead and plugged in the new valve, so that's going to be our straight pipe side, and you might be able to tell that pipe is larger in diameter than the one coming out of the muffler, so that'll also really help the volume differences. Everything is nice, tight, and lined up all the way up to those center pieces and the cross brace, and we have plenty of clearance around this whole suspension, the rear differential, drive shaft, and the front piece. So really happy with all that. Now it's time to start it up. So this kit basically works with the factory drive mode. So in normal mode, the valve is going to be closed just like in your stock car, and you're going to get all the exhaust coming out of the driver's side through that nice little muffler. And then when you go into any of the dynamic modes, RS performance mode, that's where valve's going to open. Some exhaust is still going to be coming out of here, but obviously the valve open is going to let out all the sound and make this thing sound hopefully like the V10. But nonetheless, let's get our first cold start and see what this car sounds like. All right, so normal idling with valve closed sounds pretty stock. That is way deeper now with the valve open in dynamic mode. So putting some miles on the car in normal mode, normal driving, you really don't hear anything crazy. Now in RS performance mode, sounds pretty sweet. You can definitely hear a little bit of that unique 5-cylinder. Wow, that sounds good. Man, oh man, you can just hear like in between shifts and then when the new gear starts going. That tone is so good. Wow, what a unique engine this car has, and then when you upgrade it with that exhaust. Man, that tone is good. And then going back into normal mode and everything, giving it some gas, not all too crazy. However, you still hear a good tone, and then I'd say like 4,000 RPM, I feel like the valve might slightly open just with the factory tuning, however it's designed to work. So higher RPM, even with valve closed, you end up hearing some of that nice exhaust. But we are back into comfort mode. If you keep it under 4,000, it pretty much drives like normal. And then from this view, so let's open the door, take a listen to it revving from here in the normal drive. Not too bad, definitely better than stock. And that's performance. Man, you got a nice tone. And as you can tell, just idling in the RS performance mode has a much deeper tone. You can smell it kind of breaking in a little bit, of course. the fiberglass pack muffler is going to be broken in just a little bit, so the sound will change a tad, but I'll film my after videos once we drive it a little bit more. And if you want to see the detailed comparison, that will be linked down in the description, completely stock versus this, going back to back on a ton of different roads and different testing and things like that. And then slowly cruising in second, letting off the gas, you just hear a good overrun. Man, that tone is so good. When you're going down hills too, you'll hear a little bit of burble. So as we warm things up a little bit, man, and then back into comfort mode, normal driving, slow speed, back to normal, no drone or anything, just a normal, pretty much stock car. However, when you do get on it a little bit, you hear a much better tone than stock. So that's a really nice upgrade. So there you go, installing AWE's SwitchPath exhaust on the 8Y Audi RS3. That was one of the easiest exhausts I think I've ever installed. I like how it fits so perfectly. The exhaust tips being built into the bumper makes it that much easier. Now, if you own an RS3, whether it's the 8V or the 8Y, take a look at the link down below for AWE's exhaust systems for these cars. They also make a track version, which won't connect to your valves, and it'll basically be the straight pipe on both sides the entire time. So if you want to be even louder, of course, that is a sick way to go. I like having the comfort mode and the loud mode. It's just a really good way to go. But check out those links down below. This car sounds so good now, and my wife is gonna love that because her biggest complaint is this thing's too quiet, and now it sounds really, really good in all the different drive modes. But there you guys go. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, stay tuned for plenty more content. Take a look at the links down below, and see you all in the next video.